Welcome back to Africa Now, where the African voice is bold, unfiltered, and unapologetically ours. To all our returning viewers, thank you for standing with us. And if this is your first time here, you're most welcome. You've found your people. Before we begin, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps amplify African stories the world needs to hear. Tap the super thanks button if you believe in the mission. We can't do this without you. We encourage vibrant and respectful dialogue in the comments. What you think matters here. Let's keep it insightful and constructive. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and informational purposes only. All views expressed are based on publicly available reports, independent analysis, and social commentary. We stand against hate, misinformation, and violence, and fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. Now, let's get into today's story. What began as murmurs has now erupted into a thunder across the West African landscape. A video has surfaced, one that's raising alarm and fueling speculation. It shows elite forces from Burkina Faso mobilizing near their border with Ivory Coast, a clear sign of rising tensions. These troops, reportedly on high alert, are responding not just to the chaos in their neighbors' territory, but to what many fear could be a broader geopolitical play, possibly involving the United States. Now ask yourself, why would Burkina Faso suspect that a coup attempt in Ivory Coast might be a smokescreen for foreign military intervention on their soil? Is it paranoia, or is it preparation rooted in a long history of betrayal and interference? Like what you're hearing, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. This is the type of fearless reporting they won't show you on mainstream outlets. Civilians in Ivory Coast have reportedly taken to the streets, rallying behind the very soldiers said to be orchestrating the coup against President Ouattara. The footage, though not yet verified, shows joyful crowds embracing the soldiers, chanting in solidarity. The mood is electric, hopeful, defiant. Type congratulations in the comments if you stand with the people of Ivory Coast in their pursuit of a future free from oppression. What does it say when a nation celebrates its own government being overthrown? Could this be a sign of deep, unresolved discontent? A call for transformation not tied to foreign powers, but birthed from within the soil of Africa itself? Let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Your voice adds strength to this conversation. Speak your truth. In a fiery declaration that has gone viral, a revolutionary activist from Kenya has warned the nation's political elites. What is happening in West Africa could soon ignite in the East. He doesn't mince words. He names names.
It is not
and his
easy
message is
as before. It is not easy as you see people you are thinking. You Ruto, we are coming for you. You Raila, we are coming for you. You Kalonzo, we are coming for you. You Gachagua, we are coming for you. All the entire ministers of the fucking shit regime, we are coming for you. All the police, the DCIs, all the intelligence securities in Kenya, we are coming for you. I have given you Mr. Ruto, Mr. Raila, Mr. Kalonzo, with the all entire Moi student to resign the Kenyan politic as soon as possible before we landed in Kenya. We are not joking. We are tired with games that you people you are playing since the independent up to date. We now demand the space for all generation, for all Gen Zs, for all youths to occupy those spaces. Otherwise, what is happening in Ivory Coast, we are applying as soon possible in Kenya. We are not going to joke with you Ruto, with you Kalonzo, with you Gachagua, with you Raila, and the entire team. We want Kenya to be free, and free that ever been before. all the prison will set off. We are going to release all the prison, and we are going to arrest all of you. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. We are going to occupy all the airports. We are going to occupy all the territories.
It's clear. The era of leaders who serve foreign interests over their own people is ending. We are not joking anymore. He says, we are tired of your games. Since independence, you've toyed with our future. Now we demand space for Gen Z, for our youth to take their rightful place. The fire in his words is not performance. It's the sound of frustration that has reached a boiling point. He speaks of occupying borders, freeing political prisoners, and reclaiming national sovereignty. His message echoes across Kenya, vibrating through every corner of East Africa. And still, foreign influence looms like a shadow. The speaker names Western-installed bases, drone strikes launched from African soil, and leaders who've bartered national pride for fleeting alliances. Is it any wonder that the cry for justice is erupting like never before? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this message speaks to your spirit. These voices deserve to be heard far and wide. A South African revolutionary, one of the earliest to break the news of the Ivorian unrest, has now made a stunning claim. President Ouattara has not been seen since the
Ivory Coast, President Ouattara. Where are you right now? Come out. Where have you been? We are saluting all the revolutionists who went on the street to remove that puppy of America. We as African, we are saluting all of you. We are believing in all of you. We are looking at all of you. Through you, Africa will be free from its chain, because that Alassana give American air base for drones to attack our Burkina Faso, our Niger, our Mali. Enough is enough now. I love all the
uprising began. He calls the president a puppet, not of the people, but of America. He warns other African heads of state. If you serve foreign powers over your citizens, your time is running out. Where are you, Alassane? He demands. Come out and face your people. The speaker salutes those who have risen, those who have risked their lives to break the chains that bind their nations. He points to the real cost of silence. Drone strikes on African lands, foreign military bases built with African blood, and decisions made far from the people they affect. To the people of Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, your resistance is being watched, and it is being honored. And the question remains, how many more leaders must fall before Africa's sovereignty is taken seriously? How long will outdated allegiances to former colonial powers dictate the fate of entire nations? If you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe to stay in the loop as this story develops. It's not just news, it's our future. And as this momentum builds, a beloved mother of the African struggle, Dr. Arikana Kahamri-Kweyo, has delivered yet another soul-shaking message.
Entity is not for us. The largest voting bloc in the United Nations are the African nations. We don't have a seat on the table. Why do we go there? We go to the United Nations to vote on their issues. They pay African countries, or vote with us on this issue, vote with us on this issue. We have no business going to the United Nations, period. We need to tell Secretary Guterres, thank you very much, but we're no longer going to attend United Nations. It's not our entity. Until we have true representation. Goodbye.
Right.
That means true
Sure.
with every engagement with the West.
Right.
For example, Zimbabwe and many other African countries, the remains of our ancestors who they murdered are still sitting in jars in their countries. Why are we going to engage them?
Right.
We want those remains returned with repercussions.
Right.
Until that's happened, everybody from your country, out. If you were former Portuguese colony, all Portuguese, get out of my country. I love it remember when there was this rift between President Mugabe and Prime Minister Tony Blair. And Blair was like, we're coming to take all the British out of Zimbabwe, we're airlifting them. And the response President Mugabe was, listen, I've given all my police and military that if you see any British citizen that wants to get out, escort them to the nearest exit point. Get out. If we can just make that position, your government is abusing us. Your government is refusing to give us back our ancestors, the remains of our ancestors who they murdered. Your government is refusing to give us back our artifacts, precious artifacts, priceless, that they stole. Until these wrongs, these blatant wrongs are righted, every British citizen get out. Every Portuguese citizen get out. Every German citizen get out. Let's see how quickly things will change.
They'll move from there.
It is those citizens who are going to now go to their government and say, we didn't know you were doing that. Let me make this point clear. The citizens do not know of the crimes that are being committed by their governments. So let's put the power back to the people. Let's remind the people that every constitution starts with we the people. So let's make those citizens, they must succeed in their civic duties. We the people are the ones who are failing. Let's come together, let's understand the issues. And so for those of us who are elders, who are in the know, we have a responsibility to educate and inform. Once the citizens are empowered with knowledge and the understanding of what is really going on, I do know for a fact, the average citizen of the world wants a righteous world, a world that is free of hate, racism.
She asks, why are African nations still attending the United Nations? Why do we continue to beg for inclusion in institutions that were never built for us? We are the largest voting bloc at the UN, she says, but we hold no power. We vote on their issues while our ancestors' remains and our stolen artifacts still rot in 4 museums. Why are we still going? Her words are a battle cry, not of anger, but of awakening. She calls on African governments to expel colonial remnants, Portuguese, British, German, until justice is served, until the past is reconciled. We need to take back our power, she says. Let the citizens go to their governments and demand answers. Let every African know we are not powerless. We are simply not yet united. And that's why you're here, because this is the moment. The winds of change are no longer whispers, they're storm. From Ivory Coast to Kenya, from the streets of Ouagadougou to the halls of Johannesburg, the African people are reclaiming their voice, their history, and their destiny. The revolution is no longer a theory debated in quiet corners of academia. It's a lived reality, unfolding in real time. People are no longer waiting for elections or reforms. They are rising, demanding, acting. This isn't just about politics. It's about the reclamation of identity. For decades, Africa has been told who to be, how to act, and what to believe by powers that neither understand nor respect her soul. But now, voices once dismissed as radical are echoing through city squares, townships, rural roads, and social media timelines. And these voices are not fringe. They're your neighbors, your students, your sons, your daughters. They're the taxi drivers in Accra, the market women in Lagos, the farmers in Kisangani, and the young activists marching through Nairobi. These are not foreign ideas being imported. They are born of African soil, fertilized by injustice, and now blooming with resistance. If this resonates with you, take action right now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with 5 people you know. Let them hear what the mainstream won't say. Meanwhile, reports continue to filter in from various parts of Ivory Coast. Whispers from military ranks, murmurs from diplomatic corridors, and shouts from the streets all point to a pivotal moment. The question isn't whether change is coming, it's how fast and how forcefully. And while many are celebrating the fall of one regime, others are asking, who comes next? What comes next? It is not enough to remove a figurehead. Africa's revolution must go deeper. It must unearth systems, ideologies, and deals inked in dark rooms with foreign hands. That is why figures like Dr. Arikana are so critical to this moment. They remind us that liberation is not just about borders or presidencies. It's about sovereignty of the mind. It's about economic justice, cultural restoration, and the end of dependency. This is the time to stay informed and stay engaged. If you haven't yet, drop a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and what freedom looks like to you. Your voice is part of this story. The call to end engagement with institutions like the United Nations isn't just symbolic. It's a challenge to the very structure of global diplomacy. Why should Africa lend its moral authority and population size to a system that offers it no real power? Dr. Arikana doesn't just question the UN. She questions the very concept of respectability in a system built on exploitation. She dares us to imagine a new world, one where Africa no longer has to beg for the return of what was stolen, one where reparations are not dismissed as radical, but embraced as righteous. One where our history is not rewritten, but reclaimed. And one where our children no longer look outward for leadership, but inward to our own traditions, philosophies, and people. And across this rising tide of consciousness, one message is repeated like a drumbeat. We are done asking. We are done pleading for inclusion. We are done tolerating injustice dressed up as diplomacy. We are done allowing puppet leaders to auction our futures for foreign aid and fake applause. The world is watching, and yet, it is we who must decide what happens next. Will we continue to walk the same path that brought us here? Or will we, finally, and without apology, forge a new one? If you believe Africa must rise, if you believe the chains must break, hit that like button now, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. The world must see what's happening. This is not just a report. This is history being written by those who refuse to remain silent. As this movement spreads, it is becoming clear that the so-called African Spring is not confined by geography. It's ideological. The spirit that sparked revolts in North Africa years ago has now taken root deeper across the continent. But this time, it isn't driven by externally guided regime change. It's homegrown, and it's unapologetically Pan-African. Leaders who once stood comfortably behind bodyguards and bilateral deals are beginning to feel the ground shift beneath them. They sense what the people have already realized. The legitimacy of power is no longer drawn from titles, but from trust. And right now, trust is collapsing across much of the African leadership landscape. In the past, coups were condemned without question. Now, many Africans are asking different questions. When the ballot fails, when institutions are hollow, when justice is reserved for the rich, what options are left? Watch the tone on the streets. Listen to the youth. They're not calling for chaos. They're calling for accountability. They're not anti-government. They're anti-corruption, anti-subjugation, anti-colonial proxy rule. So why is the West so uncomfortable? Because for the first time in a generation, African movements are not seeking permission. They're not asking to be saved. They're demanding what is rightfully theirs, and they're doing it on their own terms. Take a moment to pause, reflect, and hit that like button if you understand the power of this moment. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. This story is not just about one country. It's a continental awakening. Meanwhile, as silence grows around the whereabouts of Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara, speculation turns into suspicion. Is he in hiding? Has he fled? Is he negotiating? His absence only fuels the flames of a people long denied transparency. And the silence from foreign embassies is even louder. Where are the international defenders of democracy now? Those quick to comment on African elections suddenly fall quiet when their strategic allies are the ones losing grip. Hypocrisy has never been so visible. But Africa sees it now, and Africa is speaking back. From Nairobi to Ouagadougou, Johannesburg to Dakar, the cry is the same. Return what you took and respect what you cannot own. Artifacts, human remains, land, dignity. Africa is not asking. Africa is asserting. That's why voices like Dr. Arikana Kihamri-Quayo are not just symbolic, they're strategic. She reminds us that until colonial wounds are healed, there will be no lasting peace. Until the heads of states serve the heads of households, the mothers, fathers, workers, farmers, teachers, there will be no rest. She challenges the people to confront a hard truth. It is not only the West that has failed us, it is also ourselves. Passive citizenship, blind loyalty, and political amnesia have given tyrants the room they needed to sell us out, piece by piece. But no more. The young people are no longer just dancing for freedom. They are demanding it. They are documenting, organizing, exposing, and perhaps most importantly, they are remembering. Remembering what was stolen. Remembering what was silenced. Remembering what was possible before the chains. If you're watching this and feel something stirring in your spirit, don't scroll away. Let your presence be known. Drop a comment below. Say we are awake. Say where you're watching from. This is your platform too. Across the continent, you can feel the gears shifting. There's tension, yes. There's uncertainty. But there's also clarity. Clarity that this time, things must be different. This revolution is not just about replacing one leader with another. It's about destroying the very architecture that allowed betrayal to become governance. It's about refusing to allow modern-day imperialism to wear an African face. So to the leaders still clinging to outdated power, listen carefully. The people are not afraid of you anymore. They have seen behind the curtain. They know who you serve, and they are reclaiming what was theirs all along. And to the people, every viewer, every listener, every voice tuning in, remember this moment. You're not alone. You are part of something global, grounded, and growing. Subscribe now. Stay with us. Across the continent, the conversations once whispered in frustration have become rallying cries. From university halls to crowded marketplaces, from TikTok live streams to remote villages, a new consciousness is crystallizing. One that refuses to tolerate the myth that Africa must always wait. Wait for aid, wait for development, wait for approval. The African people are done waiting. They are reclaiming what has always been theirs: agency, dignity, and truth. This uprising is not simply political. It is spiritual. It is ancestral. It is the calling of generations who were enslaved, colonized, silenced, and buried beneath the rubble of history rewritten by outsiders. And now, the ancestors are speaking, through the mouths of youth who refuse to be silenced. This is why every demonstration, every viral video, every voice calling out from Nairobi, Ouagadougou, Kinshasa, or Abidjan carries weight. It carries memory, it carries prophecy, and it carries responsibility. No longer will Africans be shamed into silence for demanding what the world owes them. No longer will cries for justice be dismissed as radicalism. No longer will foreign bases be built on African soil with the blood of African people and the signature of African leaders who never asked the people for consent. Now is the time to reclaim. Reclaim the narrative. Reclaim the governance. Reclaim the right to define development on our own terms. If you're watching and your heart is burning right now, that's no accident. That's the fire of truth. Let it rise. Tap the like button, subscribe, and share this story with someone who still believes change isn't possible. Let them see what you see. And to the people of Kenya, you are not forgotten. Your voice is part of this continental choir, rising in harmony and rage. That viral message, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, has struck a chord not just in East Africa, but across the continent. We are tired of your games. We are not joking anymore. We are coming for you, not in hate, but in history's name. When young people speak with this level of clarity, the wise listen. The old guard, long insulated by power, is now surrounded by a sea of awakened minds. And the tide is rising. In West Africa, soldiers once seen as tools of oppression are now being hailed as liberators. Not because of their guns, but because they seem, if only for a moment, to be listening to the people. The cheering crowds, the celebration in the streets. These aren't the signs of foreign manipulation. They're the signs of long suppressed, will finally breaking through the concrete. And still, Western media hesitates to call it what it is, self-liberation. Instead, they warn of instability. They raise the alarm about coups. But where was this alarm when leaders were selling out national resources in backroom deals? Where was the concern when foreign troops were stationed near villages without explanation? Where was the panic when the voices of millions were drowned out by the comfort of the few? This is why you are vital to this movement. The world won't hear this unless you help amplify it. Like this video, subscribe, comment where you're from. Let the world see the unity unfolding. And while Ivory Coast captures headlines, let's not forget the undercurrents in countries like Nigeria, Uganda, Cameroon, and Senegal. Tensions are simmering, patience is thinning, and all the while, the youth are watching, learning, organizing, planning. This isn't just about revolution. It's about evolution. A new generation is rising, not just to demand power, but to redefine it. Not just to oust the old, but to rebuild the future. One rooted in justice, in cultural pride, in sovereignty, in love for land, language, and people. Let this be your reminder. You are not powerless. You are not too late. And you're not alone. Every share, every comment, every like is a declaration that Africa's story will no longer be written by those who stand outside of her pain and profit from her struggle. We are no longer asking for a seat at the table. We are building our own. Let's press on. As this awakening grows, so does the resistance, not just from within, but from the outside. You see, systems of domination never collapse quietly. They cling, they retaliate, they infiltrate. Already, efforts are being made to label these uprisings as threats to stability. Foreign media rushes to paint them in the language of danger, insurrection, extremism, unrest. But whose stability are they protecting? Certainly not the African people who have lived for decades under borrowed peace built on silent suffering. What they fear is not instability. What they fear is accountability. For the first time, leaders who once stood on podiums preaching democracy while signing secret deals under foreign flags are being challenged directly, by name, by voice, and by action. It is no longer enough to speak well. Now, you must serve well. And if you do not, you'll be called out. Across the continent, citizens are tearing away the mask of diplomacy that has too long concealed complicity. Presidents, prime ministers, ministers of defense, police chiefs, all are being put on notice. No longer will titles protect betrayal. And as the streets fill with chants and digital spaces flood with revolutionary messages, a new kind of pressure builds. Not from outside powers, but from within the people themselves. And that pressure is harder to suppress, because it lives in the heart. Let me ask you this. What will you do with this moment? If you feel this movement in your bones, if you see yourself in these stories, stop scrolling. Like this video, share it, subscribe now. Let your algorithm know this is what matters. Because even as this movement gains momentum, the backlash is inevitable. We already see platforms cracking down. We see shadow bans. We see censorship cloaked in the language of policy. We see governments rushing to control internet access, deploy cyber units, criminalize speech. But information, once freed, is not so easily caged. That is why staying connected is everything. Community is your shield. Truth is your weapon. Solidarity is your power. And do not be fooled, this is not just a youth movement. Elders are standing up too. Voices like Dr. Arikana's remind us that this battle is not just political, but generational. She called for the return of stolen artifacts, the burial of stolen bones, the rejection of institutions that mock African presence with African absence. Why, she asks, do we attend the United Nations when we have no voice at its highest table? Why do we lend legitimacy to a system that continues to marginalize us, manipulate us, and mine us for its benefit? And if the West is not ready to give back what it has stolen, then let it leave. Every Portuguese in Angola, every French official in Senegal, every British advisor in Zimbabwe, every American soldier stationed on African soil without the people's consent, get out. This is not hatred, it is healing. This is not vengeance, it is justice. And justice, once awakened, does not go back to sleep. If you're still watching, I need you to do 3 things right now. Comment, Africa, arise below. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a truth bomb. And share this story on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, anywhere and everywhere. Because what happens next depends on how deeply this story is spread. This revolution doesn't need permission. It doesn't need validation from think tanks or newspapers. It needs connection. It needs clarity. It needs you. We are not scattered. We are synchronized. We are not waiting. We are walking forward. And no matter how loud the propaganda, how ruthless the suppression, or how hard they try to fracture our unity, Africa is rising. And this time, we will not rise quietly. So now, the question is no longer if Africa will rise. It is how far, how fast, and how fiercely. We are watching a once-in-a-generation moment unfold. A moment that your children and their children will read about in books, hear about in songs, and carry in their bones. But whether this becomes a fleeting spark or an unbreakable flame depends on what you do next. Because revolutions are not just fought in the streets. They're fought in minds, in voices, in choices. So if this story moves something inside you, if your heart beat a little faster, if your eyes welled up, if your spirit whispered, yes, this is it, then act. Don't just feel it, fuel it. Subscribe to this channel. Not for us, but for you, and for every voice still struggling to be heard. Click this super thanks if you believe in a media that serves truth instead of power. Like this video, so the algorithm knows this story matters more than celebrity gossip and propaganda. Share it with 5 people you love, because movements are built one conversation at a time. And finally, remember why you're here. You're here because you know Africa deserves better. You're here because you carry the fire of ancestors who dreamed of this moment but never lived to see it. You're here because your silence, your action, your attention, it all matters now more than ever. Let's not wait for history to tell our story. Let's tell it ourselves. Let's tell it boldly. Let's tell it together. Africa is not rising. Africa has risen, and you are part of that rise. Stay alert, stay united, stay free. We'll see you in the next report. But until then, stay revolutionary.